Okay, so this is the next video in the series on, I don't know, higher education, I'm going to call it. So in this one I'm gonna lay out a lot of the details for what the university, the next gen university will look like. So there's basically four parts to this. We're just gonna like jump right into it. So there's four parts. There's the content and resources, the interaction, and the doing, and the accreditation. I'm gonna screw that word up. Oh well. The content and resources is not the value proposition, and what that is like video lectures and assignments, books and reading material, and software if needed, or things like that. But it's like the kind of the material that's traditionally placed out there for education. So video lectures, things like that. Now those things are all out there and they're becoming to grow. And you have like iTunes University, you have Khan Academy, you have Udemy, you have Coursera, and you have all these sites like that where they have this content that's being generated or being pulled from someplace. And then you have like PDFs for reading, you have ebooks, and so that's content. Now, content needs structure, and so the curriculum is the structure around it. So if you want to go through a particular program, you got to pull all that different content down, put it in a box, and say this is the curriculum for this degree or to learn this or whatever it may be. And so that is the content and resources section over here. This is all going to be backwards because this video is going to like flip itself, but whatever. So the other part is interaction. So interaction is like the communication, very important part. So this is where you kind of step from an all digital world to a more personal point of view where you have interaction with experts or instructors, and that would be through chat or email, or more importantly through like a Google Hangout or Skype type interaction with video. The video is important because there's other nuances and things of that nature, and then you'd also have tutors and community organizations. So the tutors can all be done online too, but that's more like the fine-grained stuff. So when you really need help, you can go this one-on-one. And so there are also websites for that as well, to where you get one-on-one tutoring. And then there's community organizations where you actually want to be able to go in to a place physically and interact with people who are in a common area or who have common interests around that course or around that degree program. And so you get the personal interaction, you get the chat real time, you get the video hangout, so you can do that from wherever. And then you also get the tutoring for fine-tuning, the details and ironing things out, and having like those recitation sections of feedback with say like a TA. Those should not be underestimated, and most sites online that are trying to do this university thing, they don't have that real-time interaction and that communication that goes back and forth in the structure at all levels, including a personal, real world level, and that is important for learning. So don't underestimate that. But that can be worked out through technology and through partnerships. The third portion is the doing portion. So people learn by doing, and you should do and you should experience, and that is very critical. And that takes on the likeness of say projects or labs, internships, volunteering with organizations, and that work should be sourced from real companies where possible, or it can be sourced from online kits. So if you need to build a circuit or you need to do some chemistry experiment, you can actually buy kits that they do in your home, and you get it done and you look at the results and you jot everything down. And so you would have to put that together with the curriculum, right? So you have the curriculum, you have the interaction, and then you have this doing portion, and you can actually combine those together. And about the internships and kind of working with organizations, those need to be streamlined to where organizations should be able to post what they need and kind of in a structure that makes sense to a learning environment, and then the university, this online new university, should be able to communicate those back and forth and pair up the students. And the students would have projects on their resume, on their in their history that they're endorsed on, and that endorsement is kind of the next big type of thing in the motivation portion, which is the accrediting your program, and that's quadrant 4 over here. And this is where the trick is. This is where the crack is. Okay, so this is how it works. So people go to university and they try and get this letter grade, or they try and make their parents proud, or they have this social peer pressure of not doing shitty on your work because it's embarrassing. And so you have all these things, and you have the degree at the end that they're shooting for, and that's kind of the big motivation, right? I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna make my parents proud, and I'm not gonna look like a doof and wear a dunce cap. Okay, so this is a psychological portion, and this is where a lot of attention should be played, or directed. A lot of attention directed at this one. So how do you authenticate this program, and how do you make it so that people believe in it, believe that people coming out of it are worth something, they learn something, and that the students going in, and when they're in the program, they feel like it's worth working toward. So this is the accrediting portion. And so there are different methods. So you can do endorsements like socially, like LinkedIn. People can say, yeah, they know this, and you crowdsource the endorsement. Or you could do testing and demonstration, which is done for a lot of programs, medical, law, like with the bar exam, engineering with the FE and PE exams. So it's not uncommon to learn a whole bunch of work and then to do a big test, even with fluency exams in different languages. So that's also a possibility. And then you have a record of performance. Because it's all digital, you have a very good record of performance, and that is also motivation to the student to continue to do well, because that could be pulled, and so you kind of generate this final grade, this credit score, this education score that could be pulled from a lot of different ways. And then you have that project endorsement aspect. So in that doing portion, when I said you want to feed in projects that are real world projects, you can be endorsed on those, and that would also go into your file and your report that says you're socially endorsed, you have these projects under your belt, this is your testing and demonstration, and then this is your record of academic performance. So this part, that part, accrediting this institution and branding it and pumping out students that are really capable, and then also having some filtering on the front end for bringing people in, that creates this other, like I said, it's the candy portion, it's the crack portion, it's that portion that gets people motivated and pressures them in different ways for good or for those exist in the real world, and so you want to try and put that in there, even maybe gamification portion in there. So those are the four pieces. You have the content and resources, again, commodity item. That's going to be all built out. That's not where the money is. That's not where the opportunity is. That will be there, and it's already almost there in a lot of ways if you put a curriculum around it and box it up and package it and send it out the door. The interaction component, all the technology is there. You just have to pull that technology there, put it in a single friendly environment, and have that interaction, have that crowdsourced tutoring, have that crowdsourced hangout type thing with experts if possible, and really streamline that partnership. And so the other thing is the doing, and that again, that's a partnership thing. That can be done with people, boots on the ground, companies coming in and working together to come up with projects and to come up with kits that make sense, and then instilling that into the content and curriculum, and then accrediting that and developing a brand around that and developing an engagement around it and using psychological aspects to motivate students, to show authenticity, and to really bring value from a branding point of view to that degree. And I think, again, like I said, that's where you're going to get something cool once you get all this other stuff together. And the other stuff together is, I mean, to be honest, it's just an organization type thing. Now, with all that said, someone could build this and it scales tremendously. So you could theoretically put all of these universities out of business from the traditional business model, and I think someone's going to come along and do that. I mean, it could even be a university out there now. If MIT or Stanford decided, okay, this is how we're going to do it, they could just shut down a ton of universities, a ton of colleges, for at least the first 2 years, maybe 3 years of schooling and a lot of programs, because you can just scale that thing to the masses. Why would you need to go off there and do this thing? And maybe universities become more graduate institutions of just research, which I don't think is a bad thing, but it will be a massive change, and it's possible for a few big players to really take hold of this market. So that's the opportunity, but it has to have those four components to pull that off. Now, lastly, in the next video, I'm going to talk about the financial aspect of education in the United States and around the world, and how it's kind of a central plan sort of thing, and there's a huge debt levels, and that's all going to come down. And so when that comes down, it's actually going to fuel what I'm talking about now. It'll kind of usher it in at a higher level, and so there's that aspect that's going to push this as well. So next video, that's what I'll talk about. But hopefully this all made sense and wasn't too crazy. So see you next time.